Oh, hello everybody. The next one we're going to do is your assignment number 14, which is factoring trinomials of the type ax squared plus bx plus c. Is still the second degree trinomial in descending order. Well, now we're going to say here when a, the leading coefficient, is not 1. So last time we have like a few worksheets we did like when a was 1. So now a not going to be 1. It can be a prime number, it can be a composite number. But the first step stay the same, the x method. So for example this. So x, still gonna go like, watch very carefully. 2 times 6 is 12. The bottom number is 7. So now give me two factors. We multiply give us 12 and we add the same factors, it give us 7. So 3 4 or 4 3 is the same thing. So remember, you can write these any way you want because 4 times 3 and 3 times 4 is the same thing. So now that's your, so now we cannot say here, so now keep in mind, so there's two factors here. So do not write x plus 4 times x plus 3 because your leading coefficient is not 1. So that's the step 1. The step 2 is we use LC method. LC is for the leading coefficient. So what the leading coefficient here is 2. So now how many facts we're gonna get here? 2. So we know x times x is x squared. Okay, so now we need to fill in what, so watch very carefully now. So what is the leading coefficient? So write leading coefficient twice. So here 2 and one more time. There's two factors, so write 2 twice. Okay, so now what is the first factor here is 4. Simplify 1 over 2. So now the top is always the coefficient of the first term, and the bottom is always the second term. So 1, so it's 1x plus 2. Done. So now we're going to use leading coefficient twice. That's called the LC method. So then 2 divided by what? 3. Can you simplify 2 divided by 3? No, we cannot. Well then, second factor going to be, the top is always the coefficient of the variable. So it's 2x plus 3. And that's the answer. Very easy way to factor because there's just so many ways the books use to factor, but that's the easiest one. Remember, the first one is the x method, and the second I always call LC method, so leading coefficient. So x plus 2 times 2x plus 3. You could write either way you want. Okay, so let me give you a couple of more examples, but please pause and try it and watch very carefully. Always do the watch the video before we do the homework. So here is a, for example, here one more factor 2x squared minus x minus 3. Okay, so now first one is the x method. So what is it? 2 times negative 3 is a negative 6, and there's a negative 1 here. Remember, there's 1 here. So the negative 1. Make sure careful, do not miss the negative. So now here is 3 times 2 is 6, but we need negative 6, and the bottom we need negative 1. This means this one must be negative. So now do not write, so we have to use the LC method now. So here, so we're going to have 2 factors, write 2 parentheses, or x, you can always fill in, x times x is going to be x squared, but we don't know what are the coefficients. So here's a step 2. What is the leading coefficient? 2. So write 2 twice, because there's 2 factors. What the first factor is? Negative 3. Can you simplify 2 over negative 3? No. So then first one is 2 here and minus 3 here. That's your one factor. The second one, 2 divided by 2, is always what? 1 over 1. So here is 1 plus, it's 1x plus 1. That's the answer. So the x plus 1 times 2x minus 3. And you're done. Okay, let me show you maybe a couple of more examples. Okay, so here is one more. Um, for example, here is a 3x squared, factor 3x squared plus 11x plus 10. Okay, so now you can please pause and try it, and then let's see if you can get right. Okay, so here is the first step is we're going to use the x method. What is the x method? So it's a descending order, and there's no greatest common factor. Remember, we always look for the GCF. And then if there's no GCF, we're ready. So 10 times 3 is 30. And then the bottom number going to be 11. Okay, so now we know 6 times 5 or 5 times 6 is 30. And 6 plus 5 is 11. So now, before you write factor, always write two parentheses like this. And always fill in x is the variable. If the variable is different, then fill a different variable. So because we know when you check x times x is going to be x squared. So now, here's the LC, the second step. So write the leading coefficient twice. 3 and 3. Okay, so the first factor is 6. We know 3 divided by 6 is half. So then the top number is always the coefficient of the first x. 1x, 2 is positive, plus 2. That's the first factor. Okay, so now we're going to use your LC one more time because there's a 2 factors. So you can always draw a line in the middle. So make sure leading coefficient is always on the top. So what the bottom is 5. Can you simplify 3 over 5? No, because they're both prime numbers. Well, then the top number is always the coefficient of this. And then 5 is positive, then plus 5. And that's the answer. Okay, so let me show you one last one. Pretty easy stuff. And make sure review your multiplication. And your homework is, I'm going to post a worksheet. But this one you will not be able to edit. So you can if you want. But if you cannot, just write your answer on the piece of paper and send me the picture. Here is one last one. So is the factor. So here's one more example. Factor, for example, is 5x squared plus 17x minus 12. Okay, so go ahead. If you want to pause, try it and make sure you're comfortable. So here is the x method. So what is the 5? So negative 60, because 5 times negative 12 is negative 60. And the bottom number is a 17 positive. So now write the two parentheses right here. Well, then x times x is x squared. Now you start thinking what the best factor is going to be. Okay, so it is a, what the factors will be. So give us 20. So is the 20 times 3 is the 60. Okay, but we need positive 17 and negative 60. When you multiply, it gives us negative 60. When you add these, it gives us positive. So this means this number must be negative. So now look, 20 times negative 3 is negative 60. And 20 minus or 20 plus negative 3 is 17. So do not fill them in. So remember, there's a number here. That's the reason. So A does not equal 1. So what is the next step? We're going to use LC method. So what is the leading coefficient this time? 5. Write 5 twice because there's the 2 factors. So what is the first factor is 20. 5 over 20 is 1 over 4. Well, then 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So the top number is, this one is optional. You can write if you want. And if you don't, we know it's 1 there. Plus 4. That is the first factor. X plus 4 or 1x plus 4. What is next one? 5 and divided by negative 3 is the second factor. So make sure, do not write this negative on the top because the first term cannot be negative. So 5 over negative 3 you cannot simplify. Well, then 5x will stay 5x and minus 3. And that's the answer. Okay, so your worksheet has like 10 problems. Please do. And try to submit me as a PDF. If you cannot, just you can always write your answers on the piece of paper. And just use the Google Classroom attached picture. Okay, thank you. And it look like we're gonna do this one like maybe a couple of days, because this is not easy stuff, and some people they get confused. So let's not go too fast, and then slow down a little bit, and we can spend maybe a couple of days on factoring ax squared plus bx plus c when leading coefficient is not 1. Okay, so thank you. We'll see you soon.